Alright, so if you guys are watching this video, then most likely you have the same problem as everyone else. How do you progress in Anime Ghosts? How do you get strong? How do you max out and, I don't know, get on the leaderboards? And well, I'd love to give you an answer in like 5 seconds, but it's, I guess, a bit more complex than, you know, just saying like, oh, get this or get that. It's more like a strategy, right? That you keep across your whole progression through the game and for the future updates to come. Don't worry, by the way, if you have absolutely zero clue what I mean, I will be explaining everything in today's video. In the meantime though, just before we get started, I would really appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and also, whilst you're down there, join my Discord server linked in the description. Right now I'm giving away a bunch of Robux to you guys to celebrate 25k subscribers. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on the final prize. The final prize is going to be 25k Robux to one of you guys. But also, along the way, I am kind of giving, you know, small increments here and there. Like, round 1 of the giveaway was 2.5k Robux. That's already finished. But if you guys are watching this video, you know, the day it releases, you will be in time for round 2. It's 5k Robux, split between 2 people, and it's only gonna go up from there until the final prize. Now you have no excuse to say I didn't tell you guys about this, I didn't warn you about it. If you snooze now at this point, you lose. Enough of that though. Let's get started on this guide. Alright, so first things first, let me talk to you guys from the point of view of a brand new player. Now, from what I've understood, and from what you guys have told me, and from my own experience, right now, it is very, very easy to actually catch up on updates. Or well, should I say, it is relatively easy to unlock World 14. Now, this is where the problem is, right? There is a huge difference between unlocking the final world and maxing out. Like, I'm not even joking when I say a huge difference. It is very huge. Here's an example. If I go ahead and, for example, look at the HP of one of these enemies, they only have 394 EN. That's a lot of HP, but it's nowhere near what the top players have at the moment. And we don't have this amount of energy because we're doing like some kind of like super insane strategy or hack or whatever. A lot of us have this amount of energy simply because we've maxed out the game. So yeah, tip number 1, very simple, very easy. You need to slowly, not fast, but slowly max out each world. And what I mean by that is when you go ahead and, for example, realize, oh wait, I can one-shot like all of these enemies immediately. Why don't I just, you know, go to World 14? Well, just because you're in World 14, you might be given the false confidence that you're supposed to be able to handle things in World 14. Like, yes, you can one-shot all the enemies, but then when you try to do, for example, the brand new raid, right? Example, the Destroyed Planet, you might end up realizing that Wave 1 enemies have 78.9 EN, which is very similar to the first enemies in World 14. I think you guys are starting to see like what I'm talking about, right? Because of the game's current scaling, as I've already mentioned before, it is very easy to catch up. But since you have that false confidence, you aren't maxing out what you need to max out. Like a lot of you will probably only need, like, for example, secret gachas at best, right? And then you'd be able to unlock like World 14. But no, that's not gonna be enough. Just because you've unlocked World 14 doesn't mean you're done. You have a lot of work to do. You need to get as many ghostlies as possible. I'm not even kidding, by the way. The difference between the secrets and the ghostlies is so insane. For example, let me open up a calculator that I've prepared for you guys right now. So let's say I have a 16,000 base energy, right? Obviously, for you guys, it's going to be much higher than that. But just for like simplistic sake, let's say 16,000. If I were to get 5 ghostlies upgraded from 5 secrets, oftentimes it is going to be at bare minimum double. Let me repeat that. 1 secret to 1 ghostly could be the difference between a 4x boost and an 8x boost. So since you're doubling 5 times, it's going to be stacking up on top of each other. So 16,000 with 1 secret to ghostly upgrade would become 32,000. And then 32 times 2, once again, because you upgraded, for example, your 2nd secret to ghostly, would become 64,000. And then again, and then again, and then again. Now look at that. With just 5 ghostlies, let's say gotten from the very first few worlds, you have turned your 16,000 multiplier to 512,000. And keep in mind, there is much more than 5 ghostlies in the game. There is so many of these. And again, there's not just gachas, there's also relics, mascots, mounts. Even simple stuff like, you know, the swords and the avatars, right? These are stuff that you like unlock at the very beginning of the game. Normally you can add like 5 different ghosties, right? Which again are their own separate multipliers. 5x energy, 5x energy, 2.2x energy, 2.2. And again, this is stacking on top of each other. It's not plus 2.2x plus 2.2x to make like 4.4x. No, it will always be 5x times 5x, which should be 25x. Then let's say this is a 2x multiplier. Now you have 50x. Then you have, again, double again, 100x. Then let's say this was a ice number 7, which would be, again, 2 times, which should be 200x. And then you have, you know, for example, the base ghostly multiplier of, let's say, I don't know, 2000x energy. So 2000x times 200, I'm sure you can kind of see how OP that can get, especially if you have 2 sword equips, 2 mascots, 2 mounts. Again, all of these multipliers are always stacking on each other. They're not adding up, they are stacking. So yeah, to sum up this tips and tricks for tip number 1, don't think you are maxed out just because you have like all secrets or mostly secrets and maybe a few ghostlies. The ghostlies will make that much of a difference. And then obviously, you know, with all of that difference, right, with all that extra energy, then you can just do all of the game modes yourself, which would unlock you more achievements, which could give you even more energy. Like, for example, if I got to Act 3, Wave 35, it would give me 1.5x. If, let's say, I were to start all of these innate radar achievements from the beginning, as you can see, look at all this energy. 2 times, 1.25x. And again, we're only scratching the surface, right? Because it's kind of like a cycle. The more energy you get, the more drops you get. The more drops you get, the more gachas and whatever you can upgrade, which would then upgrade your energy. And then again, it just repeats in a cycle over and over. That's all I really have to say though for that tip. Just don't rush yourself, okay? Just because you're in World 14 doesn't mean you're technically supposed to be there. Even if you can one-shot every single enemy in this world, that doesn't mean you're anywhere near maxed out. So if you got confused, rewatch this section of the video. Trust me, if you take your time, you will see the growth very quickly. But that's enough of that though. It's time to move on to tip number 2. Which game passes should you get? Now the game passes over here, I do have some preferences, you know, here and there about what you need and what you don't need. But most of us, you know, most of the top players, most of the end game players, we all agree on like the same few. 2 times energy, 2 times drops, VIP, remote access, extra weapon. Keep in mind, extra weapon is very important. And then honestly, the rest, I mean, there are some like good cases about them. For example, fast spin's pretty good, fast open's pretty good. The lucky ones, I mean, you could kind of skip out on them. Even multi-spin, they don't make that much of a difference because you can just unlock gacha spins and whatever from just, you know, playing the game and achievements. All I would say is go from priority, right? I would start off with maybe 2 times drops and extra weapon. These will give you the most energy and the most drops as quick as possible. And then you could also go ahead and then get VIP, so then you get that minus 30% gacha cost. Really helpful, especially for, you know, getting ghosties and secrets very quickly. Then as I said, the rest of them is kind of based on preference. 2 times NG, for example, it's very good, very simple. There's no bad way of going about it when buying this one next. Remote access, if you don't mind, you know, jumping like back and forth a lot, then you don't need to get this. But obviously, you know, especially when it comes to grinding the ghostlies, it's really good to have this. So then, you know, you can keep on rolling without like having to worry about leaving the gacha. Then, as I've already said, the rest kind of just like speak from themselves. But if I had to say my own preference, I would probably work as well, mostly on the extra Titan, extra Stand, and extra Shadow. These would give you then, you know, more energy boost and whatever, and also damage, attack speed. They're overall just very nice to have, especially compared to, you know, the lucky game passes and multi-open. Yeah, I can't lie, especially at endgame, these are very, very mid. But yeah, that's enough of tip number 2. Time for tip number 3. Now, tip number 3 is going to be answering a question that I do often actually get a lot as well in DMs, and that is going to be, SMG, what do I grind first? The main world, the Easter event, or the Elemental Hub? And well, I'm gonna be honest with you all, I don't think I can properly answer this question. Let me tell you why. Obviously, it would be best to grind the event modes because, you know, they are going to be directly multiplying your normal energy boost, you know, back on over to the main world. But to jump into them immediately doesn't make sense because the majority of the drops boost that you can get in the game is going to, for example, be from the main world. And obviously, the more drops you have, the faster you'll max these out. So for this tip, it is going to be very short, very simple. all I would recommend is that you alternate between all of them. Maybe start off with an event, so then you can maybe get, that extra 100x energy multiplier very, very quickly. Especially, if you're like starting the game today, you could just, start off in the fire zone, hatch some of the pets here. They should be very good to have. And then, yeah, just like take turns, go from, for example, main world to elemental zone to back to main world to maybe the Easter event, just so then you're upgrading everything kind of at the same time. Because again, you need to get the drops from the main world. They mostly come from, for example, achievements, accessories, and just a lot of other places that can only be found in the main world. So that's what I'm going to recommend you do. Take time. There's no best way to do it. Just kind of keep track in mind of like what you're doing, right? Is the Easter event taking too long because you don't have enough drops? Then head back on over to the main world and see what drops boost you can get right now. Then of course, the same story can be said for the elemental zone. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the final tip for today's video. Now, deciding this tip honestly was a little bit difficult. I've already covered how you guys should be grinding energy. I've also grinded kind of what order you should be doing it in terms of worlds. I've even explained the game passes. So what exactly is left? Well, this one might be a very obvious one, but I don't think a lot of you guys know the importance of admin abuse. Now, I'm not talking about admin abuse like in general, like, oh, just make sure you're hopping on for admin abuses. No, I don't mean that. What I mean is choosing what to grind during the admin abuse. For example, during admin abuse, there is the no game mode cooldown, which means that you can spam any raid, any defense mode, any dungeon, an infinite amount of times. But of course, it only lasts for 15 minutes. So what's the best thing to grind, right? And yeah, well, here's the simple answer. You want to be grinding game modes that take the least amount of time to complete them. For example, doing raids, right? For example, the Titan raid. If you're doing this in the no game mode cooldown, this is a huge throw. Like literally, I'm pretty sure with a best like low ping server, it still takes around 3 to 4 minutes, I think, to do one singular run. So what does that mean? It means that within the 50 minutes of no game mode cooldown, you're only going to be doing 3 runs. Which, I'm gonna be honest, you could just do it outside of the admin abuse, do like 1 run, buy some raid tickets, and then like do it yourself. Please don't do these game modes that just take so much time to do one singular run. It is such a waste. Instead, please do game modes like the boss rush. The boss rush right now is the most obnoxious and annoying game mode in the game because you can only do 10 waves and you need to do the boss rush like as a whole to wave 10 on hard difficulty like 200-300 times in order to get all of the relics. So yeah, it is a very simple concept. You want to be doing boss rushes, okay? So then that's where you can, finish a run in like what? 10 waves. If you have good attack speed, it takes like what? 4 or 5 seconds. Then all you need to do is just go ahead and put an auto clicker on the bottom right. So then, since there's no game mode cooldown running, you don't need tickets. So just, just spam here like non-stop. So then you jump into the next run immediately. Plus as well, what's good about the boss rush game mode is that since it only has 10 waves, the drops are somewhat scaled. So you're probably getting the equivalent of, let's say, 60 waves of the Titan raid in literally 10 waves, which would take 4 seconds instead of like the 3 minutes to do one Titan raid. I'm not lying to you guys, I don't think there is any better thing to grind, especially when, you're just unlocking like World 13, World 12 and whatever. You want to be doing the boss rush. But let's say you already have the boss rush max and whatever, and you already have, let's say, Worlds 12 and maybe World 13. I'm not even sure actually if there are any drops from the boss rush for World 13. But let's say that is all done, then if you really want to, you can change from the boss rush to another game mode that you don't need a large range in order to take out all the enemies, and preferably they don't have too many enemies to take out per wave, because again, if I mention the Titan raid has what, like 12 or 13 enemies per wave. But of course, Titan raid, it's useless for like any world above like World 5. So instead, probably you can go ahead, maybe use it for the destroyed planet, especially if like you're struggling with like, getting past like, let's say wave 9 in the destroyed planet. With the no game mode cooldown, 2 times drops, whatever, you could just spam this until like wave 8 or 9, just whenever you stop one-shotting the enemies, and then just reset. It's that simple, and trust me, if you do everything correctly, you will be able to catch up, and not just catch up in terms of worlds, but even catch up in energy and all that good stuff very, very quickly. So highly recommend you do that. Oh yeah, because you know, why not? Let me just go ahead and give you guys a free bonus tip. Always prepare for the next update. And no, I don't just mean in terms of new content. I also mean with what we can already unlock or what we can almost unlock right now. Like if I have a look at the achievements and have a look at, for example, this over here in H Raider, at wave 70, we are going to be getting +1 weapon equip. Now, wave 70 is absolutely impossible right now, at least to my knowledge. Maybe someone's gotten strong enough. But I'm pretty sure that, you know, come Friday's update, this achievement might be possible. It might even be really easy to get. So always check around with like what's in the game right now so then you can prepare beforehand. If there's +1 weapon equip coming up, then you want to get that third ghostly sword. Even if you can't even use it for like 7 updates like me. Even other stuff, like for example, the mascots. Wave 100 is not going to be possible for a long time, but I am ready, if needs be, to get my third secret mascot on both the Chainsaw Devil and also the Z-Cat. But at the moment, I am actually saving up my boxes because, again, you need to look at the context of everything. For example, right now, the best mascots that you can get are secrets. So what does that mean? It could mean, it could be Friday, could be next week, could be in a month. Ghostly mascots might end up being a thing. So yeah, you don't want to end up wasting all of your boxes on just a secret when, you know, tomorrow might end up being the day that the ghosties drop. But don't hold yourself back to the point where you're like always waiting every single update for something that might not even come. That's why I've gotten the bare minimum right now, which is going to be the 2 mascots. If needs be, I will get the third one a day before the update drops where they add the third equip. But until then, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that they will add ghostlies, whether it's Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, whatever. So then I would at least have a little bit of an advantage over the other leaderboard players. I have 801 chainsaw boxes right now, which, who knows, might be enough to get a ghostly, it might not. We'll obviously have to find out in that video. But anyways, thank you guys for watching to this part of the video. Hope you guys are now, like, I guess, more confident in how you should be grinding. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. I will be answering the majority of them, maybe even all of them if I do have the time. If you did end up finding this guide helpful and want to see part 2 also, feel free to like and subscribe. It really lets me know. It's like one of the actually the best ways to let me know that you want to see a part 2, but I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers that like begs for it, whatever. If you want to help me out, that's the best way to do it. If you don't want to, okay, I mean, have a great day, I guess. I hope this video still helps you out anyways. Yeah, whatever. See you all, and to the people that want to see my subscriber count go up, this is all I have to say to you all. Let's up those numbers!